Hi, it's the holiday season, which means it's a time for giving, and also a time for arguing with your distant relatives at a family function. Enter me, professional magician Jake Schwartz. I'll be teaching you all about fallacies, which are a flaw in someone's argument, and how you can spot them so you can get your point across without having to tell your Aunt Beth or Uncle Tom to shove it. As a magician, I specialize in convincing people of a falsehood. The same falsehoods that could be tricking you this holiday season or anytime. And so I'll be walking you through all the different ways that you can be tricked so that you can be better prepared. One of the most common ways that people will try to trick you is through something called a false comparison. A false comparison is when people will compare two things as if they relate to each other when really they don't. Brain Games did an excellent experiment on this not that long ago when they had someone dress up to look like a reporter and try to convince people of false information. And guess what? They bought it. All because they falsely compared the way this guy was dressed to the extent to which they could trust him. Wait a minute. You're not judging me based on what I'm wearing right now, are you? Is this good? Is it not good? Should I not have done the black? I don't know. Would white be better, do you think? Is a jacket good? Maybe no jacket? I don't know. I gotta get changed. Another perfect example of a fallacy is a wrong ending. Wrong ending, simply put, is correlation does not equal causation. Magicians will use this all the time to get out of the dreaded "how did you do that" question. They'll come up with some fake gesture that they claim causes the magic, but in actuality the two only correlate. I'll give you an example. If I rub my finger on the top of the deck here, the card levitates. The two do correlate, but one definitely does not cause the other. It's all BS, smoke, and mirrors. The next example of a fallacy is a red herring. This is possibly my favorite one. A red herring is the art of distracting someone away from the argument so they don't focus on the real issues at hand. Magicians do this all the time. It even has a name. It's called misdirection. I'll give you an example. In 1999, a couple scientists had a group of volunteers watch video of a basketball team and count how many times they passed the ball. But in the middle of the video, a man dressed as a gorilla walks in, beats his chest, and walks out. And a lot of people didn't even notice. And that's because the task of watching the basketball team was just a red herring, and our brains are only good at focusing on one thing at a time. And I'll prove it to you right now. In a moment, I'm going to show you 4 cards, and all you have to do is remember the order of the suits of the cards that you see. First one is hearts. After hearts comes spades, and then after spades comes diamonds, and then after diamonds, last but not least, comes clubs. Now, I'll bet if I asked most of you to repeat that back to me, you probably could. But what if I asked you, were those cards jacks or were they kings? I'll bet most of you don't know, and that's because of this right here. And while you might not know that, I'll bet you really don't know how I did this. The next example of an argumentative conundrum that you could find yourself in is a bad example. Fellow magician Kyle Eschen said it best when he said, telling a close-up magician that if he works hard enough, he could become a stage magician is like telling a violinist that if they work hard enough, they can become a cellist. It perfectly describes what a bad example is. A bad example is something that may have worked in the past for some situations, but doesn't necessarily work in all situations. Magicians take advantage of this all the time because the human brain has a willingness to accept or expect things that they've seen before. This in magic is called the rule of 3. The rule of 3 is a rule in magic that states that all the magic should happen on the count of 3. The first time is to teach the audience what they should expect. The second time is to reinforce that expectation. And the third time, well, that's when we pull the rug out from under you. A false choice. A false choice is committed when someone tries to convince you that you have a limited number of options, when in actuality, you could have a lot more. For example, do you want ketchup or mustard on your burger? Ketchup and mustard aren't the only options, but my question implied that they were. What if I don't like ketchup? What if I don't want ketchup, and instead of ketchup, I want mayo. I want lots and lots of mayo. Alright, that was a stupid trick. No one's been able to disprove UFOs, so therefore they exist, right? Well, not exactly. And that is ignorance as proof. People will a lot of times use a lack of knowledge or ignorance or a lack of evidence as a way of proving a point in an argument, when in actuality, that doesn't prove anything. So, to test this out, I am going to show a bunch of college students a magic trick, and then afterwards, I'm going to explain to them that since no one has ever been able to disprove that magic exists, what they just saw was real. I'm going to see if they buy it. Yeah, no one bought it. And last but not least, we have tautology. This is just a fancy word for people repeating themselves in order to get their point across. It'd be like if you said, we should go to a burger place because I'm in the mood for a burger. Those two sentences mean the exact same thing, so at that point you're not really convincing anyone of anything, you're just repeating yourself. Although, you did get through to me. Well, folks, there you have it. There are 7 different ways that you could be tricked this holiday season. And now, you can avoid all of them. And you might even get a good burger. You did get a good burger. This is a good burger. It's time for my break.